Colleague Andrew Bolt live with me. Andrew and I have both been in the budget lockup today. Can I start with your overall view of Jim Chalmers' fifth budget? What did you make of it, Andrew?
Oh, it was the most dishonest document I've seen yet, I think, from any government budget. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The guy goes on saying, you know, we're saving more than we're spending, and this is really responsible, and boy, have we made some savings. And he slaps another $120 billion on the credit card over the next 4 financial years. In fact, probably more than $200 billion when you include all the off-budget measures that they dishonestly put to one side. And that's not even including other dishonesties like lying. You know, we're never going to change capital gains tax. We're never going to change negative gearing. And here we are. You know, they are changed, and without an election to see what the voters approve of it. And then there's also the savings, the biggest so-called savings here from the changes in the NDIS, you know, which is a rot-ridden, crime gang-ridden money pit. Where they say, oh, we're going to save $38 billion over the next 4 years by chucking all these people off the NDIS. Well, I'll see it when I believe it. And yet there it is in the budget, baked in. I mean, the whole thing is just quite mad.
Fundamental political challenge, Andrew, as well is, and I put it to the Treasurer, once you've said you won't do something, not just once, but a few times on stage 3 tax cuts, now negative gearing, capital gains tax. I said definitively, would he rule out taxes on inheritance, wealth, and those measures that he's previously kept open? He definitively ruled out those measures. Now, the thing is, will people believe that, given his other commitments made prior to the last election on negative gearing?
Kieran, you are absolutely correct. You haven't even included the we'll cut your power bills by $275, although that may just be a question of incompetence. The others are outright lies. The thing is, this goes beyond whether you approve of the crackdown, whether you don't approve of the crackdown. It goes to democracy. You know, how are we to know what we're going to get from a politician if they lie so brazenly? I mean, we're given various excuses for breaking this, like, things have changed. Well, it's only been a year. What things have changed? I haven't seen anything change materially from the time they made the promise and the time they broke it. And when you go to the budget papers, you'll find what, in fact, it really is. It's not, this intergenerational inequity we're going to fix, to help people, the young buy a house. It really is a cash grab. It's the third biggest saving. There's the NDIS, there's a new tax on family trusts, and this is the third biggest saving that Chalmers lists in the budget. It is a money grab for a government that's run out of your money.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers handed down the 2026 federal budget on Tuesday, and within about 48 hours, Canberra had turned into a full-scale policy debate. Capital gains tax changes, negative gearing reforms, tax cuts for workers, $10 billion for fuel reserves, housing investment. It is a big budget. And predictably, not everyone is reading from the same page. The budget contains a tax cut for Australian workers alongside a partial removal of the capital gains tax discount and adjustments to negative gearing, described by analysts as the most far-reaching changes to Australia's tax system in more than 25 years. The government's pitch is that this is reform that backs workers and improves housing affordability. The opposition's pitch is rather different. Opposition leader Angus used his budget reply speech to argue the budget amounts to an assault on aspiration, targeting the capital gains and negative gearing changes directly and promising the coalition would resist what he called toxic taxes. That is the framing from the right, that these reforms punish investors and suppress economic ambition. Here is where it gets interesting though, because the independent economic analysis is more nuanced. Modelling from the Australian National University Centre for Social Policy Research suggests the housing tax changes, including the capital gains and negative gearing reforms, will only marginally slow house price growth, while also reducing new housing builds and placing modest upward pressure on rents. So the policy achieves some of what it promises, but not all of it, and it comes with trade-offs. That is worth knowing. Taylor's own budget reply included a pledge to index tax brackets to inflation, described by the Grattan Institute as a bold reform that cannot be faulted in principle, though it carries a long-term cost the coalition puts at $22.5 billion over the forward estimates. Bold promises with big price tags on both sides of the aisle. Welcome to Budget Week. The actual substance of this budget, the tax architecture, the housing economics, the competing visions for where Australia's fiscal policy should head, is a story worth following closely, because the details matter more than the slogans. That is your federal analysis for today. Subscribe for sharp, daily breakdowns of Australian politics without the noise, and drop a comment below. Which part of this budget do you think will actually make a difference?